if you don't take yourself seriously as a podcaster and as a member of a podcast, nobody else is going to take you serious.
If you're not curious, you won't freely walk through it to explore what's been said.
Each one of you are an extension not only of the brand, but you're an extension of each other. How you deal with people on and off camera is one of those things that can either make or break your podcast before it even comes on the air.
Do you find yourself wanting to have a co-host on your podcast or to join a team that already exists? Do you know that behind every successful podcast is successful partnerships built on the right traits? I have to share this for you to understand outstanding co-hosts and the traits that you need to look for in them. Because those traits, that's what makes the essential elements that you need to have an amazing platform. The example that I'm using is something that really used to inspire every day. Getting up early in the morning and turning up the radio and getting ready. That's something my mother flooded the house with music. It got me through on those days I didn't want to get up. And that show was the Donnie Simpson Morning Show. And I'm just going to name a few of the people that he partnered up with. Chris Paul. Then he turned around and there was a local DJ that played in the local club. He got DJ Rico. He pulled his team together. Then he also had who did the weather? It was who Tony Perkins.
Tony Perkins, yeah.
Tony
That's the man
Perkins.
right there.
Ended up having Tony Perkins. Again, he ended up later on being his co-host. When he came back out of retirement, Donnie Simpson came back out of retirement, and then DJ Rico ended up over on his station. When he came back, he couldn't do it without Huggy Lowdown. He's a local comedian. So when I say this man knew I need to build a team that's a powerhouse. I need to build a team. None of them are the same, but they all were focused on the show, what the show meant, what it stood for, following under the leadership of Donnie Simpson, the Green Eye Bandit. Let me tell you something. This man is now doing a podcast. So he went from starting in radio at 15. He's done plenty of radio stations across the country. And then he's done Video Soul.
Yep, can't forget Video Soul.
He did Video Soul on BET. Hopefully that reboot is coming back because she needed it.
It was out for a while.
Really?
It was actually out. Yep. But on BET, it was on BET Plus, I think.
Okay. So you telling me I'm gonna have to up my game. Ain't nobody asked you to put my business out in the streets, sir. Nobody asked for that. So he did the Video Soul. I mean, he's been inducted into the Broadcasters Hall of Fame, just to mention one thing that's amazing about him. But it was because, let's go all the way back to how he put his team together. It's critical that your team have some common territory that everybody's working from, because they were so different, but they all played their positions very well. If you listening, I would love to interview you on Confident You podcast. You better take your opportunities when you can. But I would really like to get into those essential characteristics, because it's amazing how without those, the things that are key to you, the things that are key to the team, without knowing and outlining those things, you won't know how to navigate the partnerships.
Because that's Marion.
And that's Joe.
And I am a Cats Pro. Man,
Yes.
you know how we do around this time. What's that pro? What's that pro
Oh my
stand for?
goodness. That pro in partnerships, you better be a pro in picking the right team so that you can elevate everything that you do. That R is resilience. You want to make sure the team that you pick is resilient enough to play their position. And when you're not available, they can play yours as well. That O is outstanding. You want to make sure that everybody comes to the table with the understanding, the mindset that they're already more than enough and they stand out to make the platform the unique, amazing experience that it's meant to be. Important characteristics that I believe a co-host must have to contribute impactfully to your platform. A co-host must be, has to be humble.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the only person you think is right and the only person you think knows everything is you, guess what? You don't know nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You're unteachable. You don't want to learn.
Yeah.
That is going to hinder your growth, the opportunities that could come your way. Because your response to everything is, I know. So please don't run, burn the bridge to your podcast. Yeah, I can't deal with it. If you know, I know. Everything I
Right.
know. I know.
Right.
We don't even have to go any further. You're not the
Mm-hmm.
person I need.
Nope.
I need somebody who's like, well, I know it this way, but what are you saying? What's your definition of it? Or just go into, well, how are you defining that? Because I want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure we're on the same page. Well, give me
Yeah.
your example of that. That sounds interesting. The way that you're talking, somebody who's humble enough to go, okay, we're having a finance person on the show. Yeah, I'm a billionaire. Guess what? Humble yourself and speak to the person from when you weren't,
Mm-hmm.
from the questions that your audience asks you,
Yeah.
from something that you're like, wow, there's this hurdle. Simplify it, strip it down, make it not so personal if it's going to make it over not understandable or palatable to everyone who's listening.
Yeah.
But then be humble enough to say, yo, you know what? Can you, I need to do this. I'm trying to do this move with real estate. And you
Mm-hmm.
do real estate. That's the financial perspective you're coming from. Or if I was just starting out and all I had was $500, what's the first thing you would tell me to do? And what's the next thing? Give me the basic steps.
The second thing I would say, enthusiasm. There has to be a certain level of energy that you bring in terms of what you're finding out, what you're learning, what you're discovering. Because I know me, when I'm finding out something for the first time, or when I didn't know something, or this is a revelation to me, or I'm finding out about a particular era that I wasn't a part of, or I'm learning about something in finance that I didn't previously understand, or I'm finding out about a new artist, or I'm realizing something about one of my favorite athletes behind, you know what I'm saying, beyond them being an athlete, and I find out who they are as a person. When I find all of these different jewels and gems out, like I light up. It goes back to what you said in terms of that translates to your audience, that translates to your community, your enthusiasm, your co-host enthusiasm. There's nothing worse than you being the person out of the trio, out of the duo however many people are on your podcast, and you are the lead in the clubhouse in terms of enthusiasm, while your co-hosts are lackluster. And I'm not saying that every single thing is that somebody says is going to make somebody light up in the same way, but there should be something. If you bring somebody onto your podcast and you got one other co-host, or two other co-hosts, and that person doesn't say at least one thing to make them sit up in their seat, they're not buying into the philosophy, they're not buying into the integrity, and they're not buying into the direction of the podcast.
Nor the vision.
That thing, something out of what that person says, or even if you don't have a guest on, even if it's just y'all two, y'all three, y'all four talking, however many y'all are on the podcast, and y'all are having a conversation just amongst yourselves, and somebody says something that makes the other people sit up in their seat like, whoa, I didn't even think of it like that.
That part.
It goes back to what you said, Mary. That's why they go hand in hand, humility and enthusiasm. Because you got to humble yourself enough to say, I might not have the aha moments all the time. I might not say the cool things all the time. Or I might not have the quotables or the meme-worthy things to say.
Number 3, I think, would be, because we started with humility, went to enthusiasm, I would say curiosity.
That was gonna be one of mine. That's how you know. See, we are living embodiments of what we are saying, good people. Like, Mary didn't know that. We didn't plan that out. That was not in the playbook. That's what happens when it's synergetic like that. That's what happens. Yeah. That's how that flows.
Beautifully organic. It's just it's an organic, actual conversation because we're both focused on cultivating the voice behind the mic, that person behind that mic, the mind, the emotions, the temperament, everything behind the mic. That person, we want to speak to you because if you're not curious, you're always just going to go, oh, okay. And you're going to feel like, well, I don't have anything else to talk about. I guarantee you, if you watch this episode and the 2 before it, you're going to find, wait, they unpacked co-hosting from so many different angles. There's so many things that I need to consider. Because we were curious enough to go, wait, we can't rush through this.
Yeah.
We're going to need to pace it and take our time and make sure that we prepare something that's palatable for someone to sit down and go, okay, these are my takeaways from that. So let me apply these and get to the next. Okay, these are my takeaway from that. But that curiosity.
Yes.
Curiosity, they always said, killed the cat. That's a saying. Curiosity killed the cat. True. Nah, I need you to be Curious George out here because I'm Curious Marion and that's Curious Joe. I just want you to know, for it to be successful, if you, instead of focusing on what you don't know, focus on what you're going to know.
Yes.
Unpack what you're going to know. You could literally ask, I have asked a guest a question and unlock something in them they had never thought of. This has not just happened one time. And you have to be curious and aware so that you're this is it. This, I just struck gold. I heard it. Can't. So now I just need to dig. Now I just need to dig. Now I just need to dig. I dug so much with someone that she'll never talk to her husband the way that she was explaining him to me. I let her finish. And then I said, can I say something? Like, I have to address this. How
Yeah.
do you think he feels about what you were just saying about him? I
Mm.
didn't know that's what her description would be. I didn't know that it would be something that I could not brush over.
Yeah.
But I knew that my podcast is named Confident You. I
Yeah.
can't pass this brother's confidence. He watching his wife,
Mm.
and you're telling me this is how you always. Nah, baby, we ain't gonna. I need you to never do that. Listen to what you just now. Turn that around, and he had said that to you.
Yeah.
So it's that, and it pivots because I was curious.
Mm-hmm.
There's someone else where it ended up just okay. You've been through a lot in your life, and you miss your mom. You lost her as a kid. If you don't mind, can you close your eyes? And we're virtual, like right now. He was looking like, what? I said, I
Yeah.
can't do nothing. We're virtual. And then I
Yeah.
said, and say to your mom what you want to say.
Mm.
It was just, it just transformed the episode
Yeah.
into something I did not see. I'm telling you, there are times when Joe and I have named the episode, but then the episode goes, nah, I'm gonna name myself.
Right.
The episode, like, we ain't doing that.
We gonna do something else.
We're gonna do something else. But you have to be curious. You have to be humble enough to go, this is what this just was.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to step back and go, we're gonna drop what we already thought. This is what this was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You gotta be enthusiastic enough about it to go, oh my goodness, this is what this just was.
Yep.
But we can't ignore that this is what this just was.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to, that curiosity, it's just, it carries you because it makes you open to whatever door could be in front of you, open. And if you're not paying attention, if you're not curious, you won't freely walk through it to explore what's been said. Because guess what? You have your philosophy, you have the integrity, you have the direction, you have the vision that's going to hold and protect everybody from things we're not doing.
Right.
Because there have been times when Joe was like, Marion, we're not doing that. I was like,
And Marion has done it with me too.
I was like, I thought that in the back of my mind, but I didn't think it would come off that. Yeah, no. We're going to have to phrase that a different way. Right, so number 4, that's you, bro.
Oh, that's actually easy because it brings it right back to our whole brand. Professional. That's the key thing. We shorten, it's funny because I think about fan as a shortened version of fanatic. We shorten a lot of words to make them easier to deliver. But pro is at the very beginning of professional. You are a podcast professional. This is your profession. This is what your claim to fame is. This is a part of who you are. So anybody that you bring along with you has to understand that we are going to be professional at all times. Yeah, we could kiki, we could joke, we could do all of these different things. But the beauty in the first 3 things, humility, enthusiasm, and curiosity, they all feed into being a professional. Because when you're a professional, you understand that each one of you are an extension, not only of the brand, but you're an extension of each other.
Yeah.
So if one person has the curiosity to say, hey, I want to be on your show. I want to be on your podcast. Let's say there's one main person who is the liaison for the whole thing, but that person might not be available. Okay, next man up or next woman up. That might not necessarily be your strength as much as the other person who is the main liaison, but you are still a representation of that brand. So at all times, how you deal with people on and off camera is one of those things that can either make or break your podcast before it even comes on the air. If you don't know how to be courteous to people, if you don't know how to address people in a way where they actually take you seriously, if you don't take yourself seriously, let's start there. If you don't take yourself seriously as a podcaster and as a member of a podcast, nobody else is going to take you seriously. So it starts with you understanding that this is my break. Again, going back to the philosophy, to the integrity, to the direction, and the vision. Having all of that in mind, it is very easy for you to be professional at all times because you don't want anything that you say or anything that you do get in the way of all of the building and all of the opportunities that you could have in order for your podcast to truly grow and in order for every member of your podcast to eat. And every member of your community to eat, because that's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
If you don't exercise that professionalism at all times, maintaining that consistently, your community is going to be the first ones to feel it. Trust me when I tell you this. From personal experience, Marion can tell you this from personal experience. She literally told y'all last week from personal experience, lack of professionalism and how it can kill the chemistry of a podcast. As a podcaster, it's easy to focus on the external customers, your guests, your community. But if you don't treat your internal customers, that's your fellow co-hosts, with the same level of professionalism that you treat your community and your guests, it's not going to work.
Why would you?
So you got to. So it's got to start with you first, as in terms of respecting yourself and understanding what professionalism looks like, and then treating your co-hosts with that respect and with that professionalism. And then it just blossoms out to everybody else. Everybody else gets what y'all are building internally. If you're not already subscribed to us, please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that bell notification so whenever we go live, whenever we post shorts, whenever we promote for our next episodes, no matter what we're doing on this channel, you can be a part of whatever is going on. You can be among the first to know. Also, please share this content if it was something that was of value to you, or you feel like it could be of value to somebody who's trying to start a podcast, who has already started one and they're trying to get better at their podcast. Please make sure to pass the information along. Also, follow us on Instagram at I Am a Podcast Pro. You can join our Facebook group, which is I Am a Podcast Pro with Marion and Joe. And if you have any questions, suggestions, things you want us to talk about on another episode, please make sure to email us at iamapodcastpro@gmail.com. Once again, that is iamapodcastpro@gmail.com. And speaking of that pro, Marion.
Yes.
You want to tell them what that pro is all about?
That pro, that P to the R to the O, that P is purposeful. You want to be purposeful in who you connect with and collaborate with and co-host with. You want to be purposeful. You want to make sure it's something great. That R is resilience. Guess what I had to do? I had to be resilient enough to go, I got to step away. It's not healthy for me. And I'm so grateful to be here with Joe because now it is amazing. And that O is outstanding. You want to make sure that you're when you partner up with people, when you co-host with someone else, when you're on a platform and you're sharing it with other people, you want to make sure that you see room for yourself and you make room for others. That's what makes people stand out as their amazing, unique self. And don't forget, please go in the comments, drop your podcast. We are supporting each other. Have a good one. See you next time.